In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement, the weekly show that keeps you in the know about all things retirement. I'm your host and financial advisor, Rick Everett, along with a full complement of panelists for this episode, to include Financial Advisor Matt Goolsby with Market Advisory Group, Joshua Cicora, our lead CPA with Market Tax Services, from Market Medicare Advisors, Trey, Basa, and Gerald Eidelman with Eidelman Law, our estate planning attorney. Welcome in, everyone. Is your financial health a priority? Do you have a team that's meeting with you on a regular basis to make sure you don't have unexpected surprises? Because, Matt, unexpected surprises do happen.
They do, and oftentimes as we're meeting with people, things come up, whether it's, do I need a will, do I need a trust, or, it's getting to be that time where we're going to turn 65, we might need to look at Medicare options. These are all the things that come up over the course of a natural conversation, but one I want to talk about this week is, speaking of unexpected surprises, I met with a couple who was nearing retirement this past year, this past week actually, and they had concerns over the stock market. They didn't like all the volatility. Last year had large losses, and then of course it's clawed its way back, and they said, we just don't know that this is really best for us. So they turned to CDs at the bank, because as rates have come up, we've seen some pretty good rates at the bank here. But one thing they didn't factor in was tax considerations. And oftentimes we see that it's not uncommon around here that people think of taxes after the fact, but you need to be thinking about taxes proactively. So they were in these CDs that they thought were, safe and they were the right move for them. But little did they know, they were actually earning less than they thought, and because of taxes.
Well, and taxes can be an out of sight, out of mind thing in the background, if you will. As an advisor, I've seen it myself. And if a client is working with their financial advisor that cannot speak to tax issues, they could be overpaying on their taxes. Joshua, I'm sure this is an instance that you've seen quite often.
Yeah, we've started seeing this more and more often, because with higher interest rates, this issue becomes much more material. So going back to the couple you were meeting with, so let's just say they had $100,000 they wanted to invest, and CD rates are about 5% right now. So after a year, you'd expect to see $5,000 of interest. And yeah, you would see that in cash in your account. However, what's kind of hiding behind the scenes, getting covered up by other things, is the fact that that $5,000 of interest is going to generate taxes. This particular couple, they were in a 22% tax bracket, so that means about $1,000 of taxes on that $5,000 of interest. So, one, you're netting only $4,000 there instead of $5,000, and skip the state tax issue there.
I'd love to skip state taxes.
Yeah, I'm sure, who wouldn't? But then also, then that gets kind of covered up, right? Because you've got wages, so there's withholdings, and if you usually get a refund, it might get hidden there in the mix there. But the taxes are still there, and what can hurt people that they don't even see coming is if you are collecting Social Security, then that $5,000 of interest could well make more of your Social Security benefits taxable. That's the surprise nobody wants to see, right?
Well, but that's why working together with a financial advisor is so beneficial for people, because this couple that was nearing retirement, they had a lot of things going on, one of them being they were worried about their investments, so they turned to safety, but since this money was not in their IRAs or 401ks, that interest income was getting stacked on top of their income.
That's right, getting stacked on top of everything else going on, could impact Social Security if they were there. It's just adding one more piece to the puzzle, where if you're not working with somebody who can address all the pieces of that puzzle, things will get lost in the shuffle and cause problems.
Matt, you recently were working with a couple that were getting ready to retire, and one of the spouses was offered the opportunity to semi-retire. Share a little bit about that with us.
We're not talking about the fact that they drive a truck for a living.
No,
not that semi,
no,
right?
not that semi.
But she was offered the option for if she wanted to do some consulting on her own. But she had all kinds of questions on, well, what did that mean from a tax standpoint? But she really, the question that she really drilled into was, should I set up an LLC? Should I set up for this all kinds of different business structure? Because now she would be going from a salaried employee working at the employer to then consulting and then billing them. So of course, while we had the CPA in there talking about the tax implications from the CDs, we needed to bring in another professional too. So we went down the hall and grabbed one of our attorneys and continued the conversation with them in that moment, which was so beneficial. Because how many times do other people out there that maybe have a financial advisor, they'll be meeting with them and they'll ask a question, well, what's this going to do to my taxes? Well, I can't give you tax advice, go talk to this person. Or do I need to set up an LLC, and how do I need to set up my articles of organization for the company? And well, I can't give you legal advice, go talk to an attorney. Fortunately, we can bring them in and have those conversations in real time.
Gerald, it has to be beneficial for the clients to be able to have all these professionals working together so people can get real answers in real time. And so you jumped into the conversation and did a little consulting of your own.
Yes. It was very crucial at this point that they have been a salaried employee. They were used to getting taxes taken out and not worrying about those things, the expenses and things like that. And it was a good idea to set up an LLC in their case so that they could keep an eye on all their expenses, that they could, under the right circumstances, perhaps pay themselves a salary and save some taxes. There was a lot of opportunities, both from a tax perspective and from a legal perspective, to allow them to be able to develop a better working situation in that particular case.
When we talk about Eidelman Law Firm, we talk about estate planning all the time, but there's a lot of other legal factors that can come into the retirement picture other than just drawing up a will or a trust.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of people that I meet, for example, that have rental property. And a lot of times what you're trying to do, people own 2, 3, 4, 10 pieces of property that they own them in their names, and that they've been, collecting from here, collecting from there, don't have it well organized. They're lacking the liability protection. So I come in and as part of the preparation of the estate plan, is also consult with them as, should you be forming this into a business? Should this be treated as a business? Should you be maintaining separate books? Should you be having the liability protection that an LLC affords you?
You really must ask yourself, how do so many others out there make the best decision with them if they're working with just a financial advisor? If they don't have an entire team going to work for them to help ensure a complete retirement package? Who's looking out for your best interest in retirement? At Market Advisory Group, we practice the holistic approach to retirement planning, not just the financial advising, but estate planning, tax planning, and Medicare advising. And we do it all under one roof for your convenience. If you'd like to set up a complimentary, no-obligation consultation, our operators are standing by right now to take your call at 316-252-8707. And be sure and check out our website at ionretirement.com. We'll be back with more of the show right after this.
When people work with Market Advisor Group, they get a feel of sense of family. There's a lot of relationships that are made and going on in this conference room, and we really take a lot of pride in that and a lot of satisfaction in that.
Every client we work with, we make a custom-made plan to fit them and help reach their goals in life. Another thing that makes us unique is we want to meet regularly with our clients and have reviews.
Market Advisory Group, we have a process, and the process we take people through is first to understand what they have, understand who they are, and then we put together an income plan for them and show them how they can look forward to retirement and not look, though retirement is going to be a stressful time. It needs to be a stress-free time.
A few unique features of working with Market Advisor Group is holistic in-house financial consultants. We've got an in-house CPA, Joshua, an in-house estate planning attorney, Gerald, an in-house Medicare advisor, Bill. We rely on all of those professionals for, again, additional service within our consultative process, making sure that we've got the advice and the expertise behind the recommendations that we make.
You know, as an advisor, I'm not there to sell them one way or the other. I'm there to educate them, to let them know what their choices are. Then I try to help them make the right choice where they can save money and feel confident in their decision.
Absolutely the best part of my job is getting a stack of paperwork from somebody and they don't know what to do, and then I can turn around and give them back a tax return, but also to be able to explain what they can do next year that will give them a better answer than what they had this year.
When we've got clients that are calling and they need to help out a child or need to help out a grandchild or need to help themselves out and they're in a situation they didn't expect to be in, I really relish the opportunity to help them through that, help them make the educated decisions in somewhat stressful situations, because a lot of folks don't have that type of counsel.
We meet with so many people one-on-one in this office that don't ever end up becoming a customer or doing business with us, and that's okay. But when they leave our office, we know that we've helped them either get some answers to some of the questions they had or get some clarity on maybe their own path.
But one of the things that we hear all the time is, I wish I would have met you guys 10 years ago, because how much further could I be down the road? Well, Johnny Appleseed said, you know, when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. And so if we can help people today going forward, that just brings an incredible amount of comfort and excitement for us to come to work every day.
Hi, and welcome back. Before the break, we were visiting about some people who had sought shelter during this volatile economic climate in the form of CDs and the often unrecognized tax implications that come with them. Then we pivoted to a couple nearing retirement, offered the option to semi-retire and work as a consultant to one of the couple's former employers. Our estate planning team helped them set up an LLC along with all the proper documents and filings. So, Matt, this begs the question, did you need to bring in a healthcare advisor at this point?
We did, and I'm glad you said healthcare advisor, because not often, but it does happen where people that are retiring have not reached the age to be on Medicare, age 65, but they still need to look at their healthcare options. And because we work together as a whole team, I can go down the hall and grab one of our Medicare advisors, scratch that, healthcare advisors, I caught myself there, and Trey Basa, he was able to come in and help with that.
Trey, share about your involvement in helping these folks out.
Leaving workplace insurance and just the workplace as a whole kind of puts you out on your own. In this particular case, they had the opportunity to grab what we call COBRA insurance. It's a temporary insurance, kind of like a stopgap measure, but they could hop onto that COBRA insurance and then buy themselves some time so they have that coverage right before they're turning 65. And then, of course, when they do become Medicare eligible, we sit down with them again and we talk about, we want this, that, and the other in order to have this coverage and most likely at a cheaper rate moving into retirement. As far as that planning period, they're 63, so we have 2 years to actually sit down and talk to them about what are their options and how do we go about wading through all of these options and coming up with a plan. That 2-year lead period gives us that opportunity and make the best decision possible for our clients.
Now, in a lot of cases, people don't have the luxury of a 2-year waiting period. Matt, you visited on a recent show about someone who had lost their employment just shy of 65 and had intended to keep on working beyond that point. So, Trey, what's the minimum time frame that's optimal for you to be able to sit down with a client who's wanting to make that transition from healthcare from the workplace into Medicare?
The preferred lead time that we ask for is about 3 months. When we sit down and look at everything that needs to happen, enrolling for Medicare Part A, Part B, receiving that Medicare card, and then taking that number and enrolling into additional coverage. 3 months is about that golden time period which we can actually sit down and go through those options and make sure that we're taking all the right boxes that we need to before that 65th birthday comes around.
One of the things I'm running into with clients as an advisor is there seems to be confusion with people thinking if they're going to continue working in the workplace beyond age 65 that they don't even need to contact Medicare because their insurance is going to remain intact. That could be a costly mistake, couldn't it?
Absolutely. When we look at those sudden changes, we do have special enrollment periods to get people enrolled into Medicare at the drop of a hat. But again, there's some lead time there. We need to make sure that when change happens, we're on top of it and we are communicating about every step of the way.
Does Medicare need to be notified when someone's turning 65, whether they intend to take it or not?
No. As long as you have what we call creditable coverage past 65, you don't have to inform Medicare. You don't have to sign up for the $0 a month Part A. You don't have to do anything. As long as you know you have that workplace insurance and you are covered.
Retirement can be complex. There are many components that come together that require a whole team to provide an effective retirement plan. Do you have an entire team looking out for your best interest? And if not, what piece of the puzzle might you be missing that could end up costing you money down the road? At Market Advisory Group, we provide that holistic approach to retirement planning. And if you'd like to set up a complimentary, no obligation consultation, operators are standing by right now to take your call at 316-252-8707. And check out our website at ionretirement.com. We'll be back with the final segment of the show right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hi, and welcome back into the final segment of this episode of Eye on Retirement. Matt, I've had a lot of positive feedback from our viewers that end up coming in for a consultation with us, that the real-life stories that we share on the show have been helpful for folks to be on the alert for some of the pitfalls of incomplete retirement planning. You were sharing with me that you have another example, a real-life story for this show.
Yeah, that's true. Tim, let's call him Tim for this discussion's purposes. Tim had come to one of our many classes, and we invite you guys to come to our classes all the time. You can go to marketadvisorgroup.com, and there's a class tab up there at the top. Check out these classes, whether it's Medicare, estate planning, taxes and retirement, Social Security. There's all kinds of classes that are very educational and informational only to let you guys know about things that could be impacting you out there. But Tim, like I said, came to one of these classes, and Tim, he said, I have a financial advisor, Matt, but when I ask them questions like about taxes or Medicare or estate planning, he can't help me with those. And it's so beneficial that you guys are all under one roof here, because whenever I ask those questions of him, he would always say, well, I have someone I can refer you to, but then his advisor doesn't go with him to those appointments and is not there to continue on that conversation. So Tim feels all alone, and I get that.
You know, one of the things I hear more often than not when people come in is the relief they feel in knowing they have that whole team going to work for them. Because it makes a huge difference when you're sitting down as a financial advisor and you're talking to someone, and instead of saying, well, I can't answer that question, you can say, can you hold on just a second while I go down to the hall and grab a CPA or grab a healthcare Medicare advisor or an estate planning attorney?
Exactly right. And Tim, one of his questions were about Medicaid recovery. And Medicaid recovery, Medicaid is a very sensitive topic. Let's just use it at that. But I went down the hall and grabbed one of our estate planning attorneys to come in and have this conversation because he had questions about Medicaid recovery.
Gerald Eidelman Law Firm. Medicaid recovery, share it with us.
Yeah, that Medicaid recovery is something that people are not conscious or aware about. Most people understand about the concept of qualifying for Medicaid, all the hoops you have to jump through, all the money that you might have to spend out of your pocket, but they're not as familiar with Medicaid recovery. Medicaid recovery is what happens after the individual passes away, or if you have a couple when both of the people pass away. And by law, by federal law, state Medicaid is required to go after whatever assets are in the state of the individual that they provided benefits to recover as much money as possible from what they have contributed to that individual's medical and long-term care costs.
One of the things you also mentioned is, and this comes up quite often if people aren't aware of it, is taxes on Social Security. And you said Tim even had questions on that.
He did. And, back to like we were talking about in the previous segment with the CDs out there, how much of your Social Security is taxed is based on what else is going on in your income situation. But you know what? Don't listen to me. I'm a financial advisor. We have CPAs here that can explain all that, right?
That's right. That's what I'm here for. Yeah, and in Tim's situation, he was expressing some questions that we hear just about every day from people. Once I start collecting Social Security, what does that do to my taxes? How does that Social Security get taxed? Things like that. How do I set up withholdings? And so we were able to kind of talk him through how the taxation works. It depends on your other sources of income as to how much of the benefit gets included. It gets capped out under current law at 85% of your benefit being taxable. So we kind of talked about how his other sources of income would affect it, and how, kind of like we talked about in the first story, how earning a little bit more money makes a little bit more of your Social Security taxable. And we talked about how then he can turn on withholdings to address some of those tax liabilities that were going to be generated, so that when he did get to filing the tax return the next year, he wasn't getting clobbered with a surprise bill. And just about how balancing all those different things together can make a better tax return for him.
Trey, if I were a wagering man, I would wager that there may be a Medicare story here.
I think you would win that one, Rick. In this particular case, Tim came to me and was talking about moving to Medicare and trying to get these things set up. And when we sit down in our offices and we talk to clients, we're going to dig deep. We're going to ask some hard-hitting questions, and it's going to give us a more complete look on every client, their health history, and give us the most information to best advise them on which route in Medicare to move to. In this particular case, Tim was not incredibly healthy. There were some things that he was concerned about moving into Medicare. Number one, he wanted to stay with the doctors that he was with right now. Number two, he liked the care that he was getting with those doctors. So those two elements played a big part in advising Tim in which direction to go down with Medicare and his additional options, as well as just trying to figure out what's going to be the most cost-effective plan for him when he does retire.
Matt, do you feel that people who come to us are able to make better, more informed decisions than someone who is, as an example, just meeting with a financial advisor who is sending them out to find the rest, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story all on their own?
Yes, so much true in that statement there, so much truth in that statement there. What I will ask people in our classes that come, whether it's a taxes and retirement class or an income planning class, I'll say, how do you truly have financial independence if you don't have a go-to trusted resource where you can get answers about financial questions, Social Security questions, tax questions, Medicare questions, and estate planning questions? And most of the time people don't. And just like back to Tim's story, if their financial advisor refers them to someone else, is their financial advisor going to them with that appointment? Probably not. So working together all around one table as a team here, most people can't figure out how other people do it if they don't have a team like this.
You know, and I think of it as almost in a football analogy. You know, Patrick Mahomes by himself is not going to win a Super Bowl. One of the key things is knowing when to pass off the ball. And that's an ability we have at Market Advisory Group that a standalone financial advisor just can't do.
That's exactly right. And we hope Patrick Mahomes is watching too.
Do you have an entire team looking out for your best interest? And if not, what piece of the puzzle might you be missing? There are implications for ill planning with estate planning, ill planning with tax, and ill planning obviously with financial concerns. And if you don't have an entire team looking out for your best interest, what piece of the puzzle might you be missing? At Market Advisory Group, we do practice the holistic approach to retirement planning, from the estate planning to financial advising, tax planning, and Medicare advising, and we do it all under one roof for your convenience. If you'd like to set up a complimentary, no-obligation consultation, our operators are standing by right now to take your call at 316-252-8707. That's all the time we have this week. I'm Rick Everett, along with the entire team, reminding you we're here to keep an eye on retirement.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client names have been changed to protect their identities. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Eidelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. All rights reserved.